Sarwanani, and welcome to another episode of Ingwalo, Labalobi. Today we are giving you a special episode that we are shooting here at the Intwasa Arts Festival, Go Bulawayo, and today we are attending the Intwasa Book Day. It's a series of conversations around books, publishing, and everything that has to do with literature. And because of that, I'm going to be having several guests joining me, Lapa, and discussing their involvement and their works within the space. And right now, I am joined by my brother here. He's into e-distribution. I'll let him introduce himself. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me here. My identity is fluid, but the official name is Brian. I'm not so sure how to call myself, Brian or Brain Garusa. I happen to be a bookseller, a festival curator, a full-time reader, and a part-time writer when I'm not tired. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So maybe for someone who's not here, who doesn't know or hasn't been to your stand, can you maybe tell us what type of books do you have here and the authors that you're selling for today?
Yeah, so as a bookseller, I go by the name Book Fantastics.
Okay.
We are proud to call ourselves Pan-African bookshop.
Okay.
We are very deliberate on that. Even from the inception of Book Fantastics, we distribute books by African writers wholesale, but the bias is on black writers. We want the black people, African people, to read African stories in their diversity, from all walks of life, from all over the world. That's our main focus and our main agenda.
Okay, so I saw quite a range of books on your table there. So I was wondering, where are you located, and how can someone who is not within the area have access to your books?
Physically, our warehouse is in Harare. That's a warehouse. Even in Harare, they don't come to us physically, but we go where you are. If you want to see us physically, we are a mobile and online bookshop. So if you want to get in touch with us, you see us on Facebook, Twitter, now X, Instagram, and on my numbers.
Okay.
Then after conversing, if you want anything that we have, we send it wherever you are. If you are in Harare, you have the chance to meet us. We can bring it in person. But if we are in Bulawa, in Kwekwe, in Tare, Shiendambuya, we find ways of sending the book there.
Okay.
In liaison with you as a book buyer.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe as someone who is within the distribution space, how would you define or describe the market? How is the market, the book market? Because we're listening when we're inside, authors were talking about there's no readership, people are not reading, people are not buying books, people are always complaining about their books not being bought, but there are people like you who are in the industry of selling those books. So what can you say in terms of the uptake of our African literature?
It's a double-edged story.
Okay.
From a bookseller's point of view, I think our books are expensive. Not because we put a huge markup, maybe because of the dynamics of production, which I will not venture into much. But producing a book to make it sellable at a cheaper cost, they need to be mass produced,
Okay.
which is something that we are not doing.
Is there
All
a
the
reason?
publishing houses,
Okay.
some of them are indie publishers. They do it from their own pockets. They can't finance huge printing of books, so they end up printing very minimal numbers of books, which then translate into higher costs of the printing process itself. But we also have very few booksellers now. I don't know the reason for that.
It's because people are not buying it.
They might not be buying,
Okay.
but I think people are reading in general. So the problem is not really in people not reading, because I'm of the view that people are reading. People don't want those sketchy experience that I might list. But when I went to a certain school, because they might look at it as an isolated thing, I sometimes I do part-time transport thing. So I was doing my job. I visited a certain school. A security was holding 3 books. I actually have I need to go and honor the promise that I offered to him of bringing him Chimamanda's latest book, because he had Half of a Yellow Sun and 2 other books. But what caught my eye is Half of a Yellow Sun as a Pan-African bookseller. Seeing such a book in such a space made my soul happy. So I need to go and see him.
So you mentioned that the reason why our books are expensive is because we don't have the capacity to mass print.
That's my thinking. Because the chain is also broken. We also don't have clear lines of communication between booksellers and publishers, which we might also not having. There are small, very small publishing houses, extremely small. But someone can say, just I'm a publisher, because they published their own book and their friends' book. So they are very small indie publishing houses.
Okay.
Then some of our books are expensive because we get them from outside. I'm now speaking of African literature in general. So we also have logistical expenses that happen if I purchase books from South Africa. They also have a duty to pay.
And that book is written by someone from...
Some are by Zimbabweans. Some of our good writers are published outside of the country. And that normally affects the costing.
Yeah, I think that's an issue. That's an issue. I think I also heard them talking about it inside, and I think it's even the quality of the books that are produced outside and the books that we publish the side. There's a difference even when you're holding them.
Exactly.
And hence we now have to pay more for books by our own.
Sometimes when I see books by self-published books and some books by independent publishers that I've mentioned about, I got to just know that these books are not really going to sell, because I also know the type of clientele that I have. I have demanding clients, and they are right to do so because they are spending on a product.
Yes.
Each product that you buy, you don't just go on the marketplace to buy tomatoes and just go for the squashed ones. You go for the quality tomatoes. So they want their money to have. There should be that corresponding relationship of value over the quality of my value of money and the quality of the product that I'm getting.
Okay, that's very interesting. Maybe we can have your social media pages. You said you're in online store where they can visit.
At Book Fantastics, the other one on Twitter, former Twitter now X. It is an underscore between book and fantastics.
Oh, okay.
it's a fantastic that has been multiplied because we want you to be
Okay.
extremely fantastic when you visit our shop. On Instagram is Book Fantastics as well. On Facebook is still Book Fantastics. Then on my WhatsApp number +263 779 210 403. We can assure you, even in Australia, we have delivered books throughout
Okay.
throughout the globe. Even in UK, we find ways. We are Zimbabweans after all. They have to reach the world.
Of course.
Yeah.
I hope that you got that information on how you can access the books from Books Fantastics. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Right now, I am joined by a very beautiful lady who is also in the book space as a publisher, a writer, and she's also an artist on her own. Ma'am, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. I think it's great for me to be hosting someone who is a publisher. Me, myself, not being that involved in the book space. I'm just an admirer of books covers. I'm just someone who just loves books. People say I'm a reader, but I really think I'm just in love with the idea of books. So maybe you can introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Samantha Rumbidzai Vajure. Yes, as you mentioned, I'm an author, I'm a poet, I'm a book publisher, and I'm a visual artist. So,
I don't know, there's this certain natural beauty that comes with people who are in the art space. And
thank you.
I think you really represent that very well.
thank you so much.
As a publisher, I'm pretty sure you've been in the space for quite some time now. How's the space?
Okay, so the publishing company I established is called Canadian Art Publishing, and it's been running since April 2020, so just over 5 years, which I think in the great scheme of things is not a very long time. Things have happened very quickly, yeah, it's a very interesting space because I sort of got into it by accident. I didn't sort of sit down and plan that, I want to start a publishing company. What had actually happened was I'd written the first book I wrote was a poetry collection that I wrote in Chikaranga. So I'm Shona, and
Okay.
I come from Mashingo, so I was writing in my dialect of Shona, and I live in the UK. So I live in Wales, and so while I was there, it was sort of obvious to me that, okay, I've written this book, now I want to publish it. I think I should find a publisher back home who can understand this language and help me to publish it. And that was the point I discovered that we didn't really have a publishing industry in Zimbabwe. I tried looking for publishers and I didn't really get anywhere. So I then decided that maybe I will just self-publish on Amazon, like what other authors were doing. And only to go on Amazon after I'd already done the preparation of the book. So I had my interior file, it was already typeset, I had my cover art, everything was ready. And then I went onto Amazon and discovered that there's something called an authorized languages list. So if you were wanting to self-publish there and your language was not there on the authorized languages list, then you couldn't publish your book. So that's what happened. Obviously, Shona wasn't there, Karanga wasn't there. I think they used to do it some time back, but at that point, they didn't have the language there. So I then had to decide whether to just abandon the whole idea of publishing my book, but I put so much effort into it. So I started researching how else I could publish my book. And then I discovered an American wholesaler called Ingram Spark, who had they also had an authorized languages list, but and Shona was there, but it was like you could publish certain languages if they came via a publisher who could take accountability for the content. because I could have been writing about encouraging people to kill one another, or something like that. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Maybe I should just start a publishing company for the sake of getting my own book out. So my background is in legal. I read law and business administration at university, so I've got that legal background. I'm a lawyer, so it was quite easy for me to just go and establish a company using my experience from work. So that's how Carnelian Heart happened. It was literally just to publish my first book. But then what happened after that was I then translated that book. It was called Zvadzukwa Msango, which means uprooted from your natural habitat. It's a book I'd written because I was homesick and I was trying to reconnect with my authentic self, and and I wrote it in my mother tongue. So I then translated Zvadzukwa Msango to English, and then that collection of poems is called Uprooted. After that, I'd then gone on social media. When I was writing my first books, I wasn't present on social media. I was just living my life privately. But then a few people had advised me to go on social media so that I could market my work. So when I went on social media, I started connecting with other writers and other artists from Zimbabwe and from all over the world. But that's how I then learned how bad the situation was in back home, that people were writing and they were desperately wanting to get published, but they couldn't. That's when I thought, but I've got this publishing house and I'm just publishing my own books. Maybe I should start helping others here. So I started with an anthology of short stories called Turquoise Dreams. It's because I'm a feminist. The first thing I was drawn to was to help other women to get their work out. So I started scouting or headhunting writers, who were writing from Zimbabwean women, and I managed to get 10 really good writers, and I compiled their work into this anthology called Turquoise Dreams. So that was the first anthology I published. Thereafter, I continued to publish my own work, but then I started publishing. I did many other anthologies. Brilliance of Hope, which was a compilation of stories by Zimbabwean men and women dotted around the world, writing about the experience of living away from home, and also the experience of those who stay at home, who have got relatives who have left the country. I've also published Tesserae, the mosaic of poems by Zimbabwean women. It's got 37 Zimbabwean women poets from around Zimbabwe, and it's a really great book, and it's got about almost 175 poems, I think. And then thereafter, I've published so many authors from Zimbabwe in various languages. So I publish English, Shona. I've recently published Isindebele, Kalanga, Tonga. So it's just growing organically, but it's going strong, and we're here today, which is amazing.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you actually got to then join us here. All these books that you mentioned, are they available to an ordinary reader here in Zimbabwe?
Absolutely.
Right now.
Absolutely. So my main distributor of books in Zimbabwe is Book Fantastics, and they're actually here today selling books.
Oh, okay.
So they're available. They are a virtual bookstore. So what that means is wherever you are in the country, and I think even in the Southern African region, so even if you're in South Africa or Zambia or wherever, if you contact Book Fantastics, they're on social media, they will get your book to you. So whether it's by post, by courier, or putting it on a bus, they've got various methods of getting the book to you. So our books are accessible. Even financially, they are not expensive. The price that you see on Amazon is not far from the price that you buy the book from here in Zimbabwe. So yeah, they're definitely accessible. We're working hard to sort of try and get other distributors on board, but there are risks that come with that. I've worked with a few distributors, and unfortunately some of them will take your books and then they'll sell the books and then they don't give you the money, which means I can't pay the authors, because all the authors I publish, I have to pay them royalties. They're all in contracts, they all deserve to be paid royalties. So I sort of have to work with trusted distributors who will sell the books and give you the money back so that I can pay the authors.
Okay. Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that because now my next question was going to be, what are the challenges that you have been facing, considering that some of the others or most of them that you work with, they are back home and you are not here, and somehow you are taking content from this site, publishing, and then bringing it back.
Yes.
So I wanted to maybe have a feel of the
The
challenges.
challenges. There are many challenges. I mean, I've just mentioned
Yes,
distribution.
yes.
That's one of the
Distribution
major
part.
challenges. Sometimes there's also, I mean, I've had situations where communication can be an issue, especially if maybe someone's based in the rural areas. They're a good writer. They've someone managed to send me their manuscript, and I want to communicate with them. It can be difficult if someone doesn't have data.
Yeah.
So there are times I've had to do direct calls with authors in order to just communicate with them. So communication sometimes is a challenge, but with technology, emails, WhatsApp, or whatever, we communicate that way. I've also had a challenge where someone wrote a novel on WhatsApp because they didn't have a computer, didn't have a laptop, didn't have a computer.
I've seen that before.
So it's so they were literally, I think they formed a little group with just themselves and someone else, and they wrote a full novel on WhatsApp, and then they sent it to me. So one of the biggest challenges, with that is if someone writes a book and they're not using a word processor, it can be really tough. I mean, to be fair though, on them, it was really good, because a lot of times we depend on the word processors autocorrecting our spellings and things like that. But it was a very well written book. It's called Once Upon a Time by Vaisinganga. He's a brilliant writer, because his manuscript was not as tough as it could have been to edit, because he had written it thoroughly, he had gone through it himself, and it was just like really well written. But obviously transferring it from the WhatsApp format into a Word document and then formatting it, the paragraphing, the grammar checks and all that it's a little more challenging than just a manuscript that already comes on a Word document. But I think because a lot of what I do is passion driven, the main issue is, can this person write? Is the story, does it deserve to be read? And if the answer is yes, then I'll just do whatever it takes to, help that author out and ensure that their work is out there to be read, by everybody.
That's amazing. I think we can only do so much from passion. We can only do so much from passion, because if you are mainly in this business for the financial part of it, some of these things are really draining, and you
Absolutely.
can really give up on them.
Absolutely.
So from the challenges, I wanted to find out that from your experience, has it been rewarding?
Not financially.
Okay.
Not financially. I'll be honest with you. All day here at the Intwasa Book Day, we've all been talking and agreeing that the reading culture is poor. People don't read anymore. They prefer to spend time on social media, or there were various reasons that were explored today. But I think the consensus was that the reading culture is dying or is dead. So it's very difficult to make money from selling books. And I think that's a message a lot of people don't want to assimilate. They don't want to absorb it, but that is the truth. So a lot of people write, or probably should write, because they enjoy the process of producing art. As a publisher, although it's not financially rewarding, for me, I do it for various reasons. I mean, it's very fulfilling. It's a very fulfilling thing to be able to help someone to produce a good book. A lot of the books that Carnelian has published have gone on to win awards. I think we've got at least 9 books that have been either nominated or they've won NAMAs, the National Arts Merit Awards,
That's amazing.
which is amazing. So I think for me as a publisher, I'm extremely proud of that, because it just shows that we're producing good work. And then there are many other reasons, like preserving our culture and our languages. Because the authors I publish, most of them are in Zimbabwe, you find that naturally the stories carry our heritage. They carry our culture, they carry our language, they carry, the Zimbabweanness. So just to know that I am part of that process of preserving who we are, I mean, I'm just incredibly proud of that. So there are many other rewards that are not financial that I get from publishing. And to be honest with you, that's what keeps me going. Just knowing that, oh my gosh, I helped this person to achieve this. I helped this. It's just very deeply fulfilling. It's for me. It's an act of service. It's one of those things. It's like maybe for philanthropy. Those people who just give things away. It's very similar to that.
Okay.
Just putting in my effort, putting in the work, and also I think I have to say that the publishing company doesn't charge authors.
That was my next question.
No, they don't. They don't pay anything upfront
okay.
for their books to be published. So I am the one who has to take the risk on someone's manuscript. If someone is good, then I feel that okay, this deserves to be published. So I'm the one who will take, my own funds, and I'll get the book edited. The Canadian art books are edited by at least 2 editors. Some books, especially the bigger they are, the more complicated they are, they might be edited by 3 people, and those people have to be paid. So I invest
for that.
Exactly. So I invest in the editing, I invest in the typesetting, I invest in the cover art, in the cover layouts, just the whole process. I have to invest in that, and for me, I decided to do it that way because I knew that books are difficult to sell. So if you know that books are difficult to sell, so if you know that books are difficult to sell, and then you're charging authors to publish when you know that they're not going to sell, can you imagine the drama that would happen when someone has paid you a lot of money and then you fail to sell the book?
I actually think that's something that's happening with most of most local authors. They face that. I once had someone tell a story of how much they paid
it's expensive.
a publisher and how they didn't then sell.
So
I was like, what was the point?
Yeah, it's a very common story. It's a very common story. Books just don't really sell. But I think I have hope that one day they will, because I think if that hope wasn't there, it then would be maybe a completely sort of pointless thing to do. But I do hope that even after we're gone, it may be that 2 or 3 generations from us. I mean, if you hear about your Dickens, your Shakespeare's, or some of the old writers who studied in literature, they died very poor, but
their books started making it afterwards.
Exactly. So I'm hopeful that even after we're gone, these books will still be there and they will become recognized. Because they deserve to be recognized. Okay. So I think that's what keeps me going. That hope.
Yeah.
That it will work out in the end.
I like what you're doing. It's the traditional way of publishing.
Absolutely.
That's the publishing that our grandmothers knew during their writing time. Where you just take your work there after it's done, and if it sells, you get to make as much instead of you bringing in the creative work and then also paying for it for someone to look at it. But then I wanted to also bring up the issue of the issue that was discussed inside about how we need to sort of adopt the new mods when it comes to what are people into right now.
Yeah.
And you being someone who's not based here in Zim, we always assume that people from abroad have enough resources to, when we talk about turning our books into audiobooks and all that, and then we look at someone, a publisher like you, like,
so maybe they can do it.
They can do it.
It's incredibly difficult because, if I talk about my own experience where I'm investing, I'm not a wealthy person. I literally use money from my own salary that I could have been using to shop for handbags and shoes.
God bless you.
So I don't have a huge pot of savings or whatever. It's just really my passion. It's just like I decided to channel money I could have used for other things. I decided to channel it into producing books. So I'm not wealthy. And the resources are scarce, especially when you keep pumping money into something that's not returning the money. It becomes more and more and more challenging. So all I can do is all I can do is do my best. So at the moment, we produce the paperbacks and hardbacks, and then we also convert the books to ebook. So the books, most of them are available as ebooks. And then I have been thinking about audiobooks, but just to sort of put things into perspective, in order to produce an audiobook, it has to be recorded. So the person who reads the story,
A voiceover artist.
exactly. So you need a voiceover artist, and you need to pay them. Then you need studio equipment.
Yeah.
So you either invest in that equipment yourself, or you are paying for studio time in order for that book to be recorded. Then I believe it also needs to be edited, by, I don't know, is it sound engineers or whatever. So that whole process becomes quite expensive as well. So it's something I'm looking into and I'm thinking about. If the money becomes available, I might experiment with maybe 3 or 4 books to begin with, and then if it works out, we can do the rest of the portfolio.
That would be great.
Absolutely. But so if we talk about the Kanile Nats now is a portfolio of over 50 books. So
That's a lot.
it's a lot. So you then have to think, okay, which ones do I pick? Why am I favoring those ones or whatever? Because there's always this constant need to be sort of equitable, like treating the authors fairly,
Yes.
and not kind of promoting one over the other or whatever. So it becomes quite tricky.
As a publisher, you're actually a mom.
Exactly. And so all the books are my children.
Yes. Your babies.
Exactly. So I can't be seen to favor one baby over the other. So, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about. One of the things I really enjoyed today was we discussed the possibility of a publishing ecosystem where literary professionals are coming together to work with the motive of producing really good quality work without really prioritizing money. So I think the audio book production might be
Possibility.
I think it's something we could possibly do as part of an ecosystem where maybe people go, you know what, let's just do it, let's just produce a book, and then if it sells, we then share the proceeds of the sale. It would be possible to do
And then
audiobooks.
the others can follow.
Exactly. So it's something I hope I can try to do that way, because if I'm just forking money up front and I'm paying all these professionals and then the books don't sell, I'm the one who continues to suffer. So, yeah.
That's very interesting. I knew from the moment you sat here that this was going to be an interesting conversation. So I just wanted to find out the authors that you help. Do you have a certain
Like a procedure, a
for
system?
selection, or do you just welcome everyone?
So, unfortunately, we have to be selective, because if you are following the traditional publishing model, you are taking a risk. You are saying, I'm going to put money on this because I believe it's good and it's going to sell. So, you are then forced to be selective, because if you take work that's not very good, it's probably not going to sell, and it's probably going to damage the reputation of the publishing house. So you, as a publishing house who's following the traditional publishing model, I have to sort of maintain really good quality standard. So in order to do that, I'll talk you through what usually happens. So someone will email and say, oh, I've got a manuscript, I've written poetry, or I've written short stories or a novel, would you publish me? So what we do is we then send them a form, like it's a what do we call it? It's like a review form where we're asking for details about the book. So what genre have you written? What's the synopsis of the book? What's the word count? Are you published elsewhere? Has it been published before? Just some basic questions to help us decide whether it's worth taking the book on or not. And then we also ask for a sample of the work. So we'll say bring the form back, complete the form, and with that form bring back maybe the first 15,000 words of your novel, or maybe the 10 best poems from your collection or whatever. So when the author comes back, I've got a panel of editors who I work with. So to sort of avoid bias, I don't do the selection myself. I usually send the form and the sample of work to one of the editors to say, can you review that
That's proper
work?
parenting.
Absolutely. Can you review that work, and do you think it's suitable for publishing? So that's how we do it. So the edit, because once an editor says yes, this is suitable, they are the ones who are going to publish that work. So if an editor says it's good and then it's not, they're the ones who are going to suffer through that work. Because as an editor myself, I can say for sure that editing a poorly written manuscript is painful. So the editors tend to be honest, and they'll say, no, I can't touch this for these reasons. And one of the things we like to do is we actually give constructive feedback. So if a manuscript is not good
I
enough,
wanted to ask
we'll definitely explain why. Sometimes if I've got time, I can even do like a mock edit of a first chapter and say, here's a sample of where you need to work on. So I'll highlight the typos, grammatical mistakes, inconsistencies, whatever the issues might be. We'll definitely highlight them. We can do a markup and like a mock-up edit and mark up the part of the manuscript to demonstrate that we're not just being nasty. We're not just being unfair to you, or we're favoring other people and not you. We can actually demonstrate that this is why we're saying it's not good enough to. Yeah, and we've actually had situations where we gave such feedback and an author went back and reworked their manuscript, and when they came back, we took it and published it. Yeah, so we're not just doing it to chase people away, but we are actually genuine in what we're doing. We want to publish good quality work so that we keep that reputation of being a good quality publisher. So once we find that maybe a manuscript is good or that sample is good, we'll then go back to the author and say, we love your manuscript, we'd love to publish you, so could you please now send your full manuscript for editing? And it's at that point that we also offer them a contract and say, this is the contract, read through it. If you're happy with it, sign it and return it. If you've got any questions, bring them forward. I also then offer to have a meeting with the author. Some authors don't like meeting. Some are happy to meet with me. So I then meet with them and I explain the publishing process and I answer any questions they might have. And then once that part is done, the editing happens. So usually there's a developmental edit. That's usually the first edit. And with developmental editing, we're looking at, is the story coherent, or is this poetry collection, are the poems in this collection talking to each other? Like, has this been intentionally put together as a collection that sort of makes sense? So we're looking at the development. Is it a solid book? Is this going to be a solid book? So if it's prose, we're looking at the character development. Is this character believable? What are they saying? Is the dialogue, good enough, and all that stuff. So we do the developmental edit first, and then the manuscript goes back to the author to do their corrections. Then it comes back, and we do what's called the copy edit or line edit, where we focus on the language, use of language. Is the language strong enough? Could they use that word instead of that word in that sentence? Have they been overusing but or and or they? So it's looking at the language. So the same word. Exactly. So we're looking at the grammar, spellings, punctuation. It's no longer it's no longer the meat of the story. It's now the language and the presentation, and then. Sometimes the person who does the line or copy edit also does the proofreading, but sometimes we can get a different proofreader to then do a final check that everything's okay. So, and then after the editing, we then look at typesetting, which is the layout of the interior of the book. And then we are also looking at the cover arts. We then source the cover arts. what kind of art goes with this cover. And I love working with authors to create a book that they also love. So we're not the sort of publisher that just goes, oh, we're dictating that you're going to have this on your cover. We actually work together to achieve something the author would feel proud to own as a book. Exactly. So it's quite a long process, but it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding because then it means I work with different professionals in the industry. So I work with visual artists, but then, as I mentioned, I'm also a visual artist myself, and I've actually painted the covers of quite a few books at Canadian Art. So which is a very, very fulfilling thing to do. So and then once the interior files are done, I then go and upload them on the Canadian Arts wholesale account. And once the books are uploaded, they then become available to buy globally, on the likes of Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and other global booksellers. So in South Africa, for example, there's Take a Lot. Our books are available from Take a Lot. And then I also then try to physically distribute them. This is the point where I get them printed and they come here to Zimbabwe and Book Fantastics sell the book. I also send them to Kenya at the moment. And I'm constantly trying to find other distribution channels to get the books out there. So, bearing in mind that Canadian Art is only 5 years old, it's just a work in progress. It's just something I suppose people have to be patient with. But it's growing organically, and we're doing things every day, just taking one little step at a time.
Which is great.
Yeah.
From this conversation, I'm sure anyone watching this right now can tell that you are doing a really amazing job.
Thank you.
And I know there's someone, or there are some people who can't wait to know how they get access to you, because this is a service that is so rare to find, to just come across someone who says, okay, you're a creative writer, give me your work, and I'll see where to start from. So they're dying to know, how do they get access to you, how do they get in touch?
Okay, so Canadian Art has got a website, www.canadianartpublishing.co.uk. We usually announce our submission windows on the website.
Is it?
Yeah, we're also on social media. So we're on X, which used to be Twitter, we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram. I think we've recently opened an account on TikTok as well. So yeah, I've got someone who's doing the marketing, and I think they're really good. So it's a few days old actually on TikTok, but I believe it's going to be really good. So yeah, we try to announce as well our submission windows on our social media. So follow us on social media. If you just search for Canadian Art Publishing, you'll find us. And then we also have an email. And this is how most people get into. I suppose the email is on the website, so people usually go to the website and they'll come across the email, which is info@canadianartpublishing.co.uk. And I would encourage people to contact us via email, because then we've got all our communications in one place. And I can then, we're able to trace back our communications from the beginning right up to when a book is published and beyond. So I strongly encourage communications by email. And yeah, so if you've written a book and you want to be considered for publishing, just get in touch via email.
Okay, thank you so much, Mary, for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed the conversation as well.
Oh, it's an honor.
Yeah.
Hoping that you were taking notes, taking those websites down, and to be sure to get in touch, especially those that are struggling with publishing. If you're a creative writer, she said she publishes several languages, is it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter whether Balani is in the whichever language she's here, and you can get in touch through the email and have your work published. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So this episode is brought to you by F3 Events, your partner in sound system, lighting, studio, and photo shoots. And today we're bringing you a special episode from Intwasa Arts Festival, Gobulawalo. And today we are having the Intwasa Festival Book Day. I am joined right now by an author who traveled all the way from Gweru to come and be with us on this beautiful day. Ma'am, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
May you kindly introduce yourself to the audience?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Rutendo Hola Mugadza. I'm a writer. When I say I'm a writer, it's because I write anything really. My first foray into writing, I think I would say, was actually through the screen. That was the first writing project that I did, where I wrote a series for drama that was aired on ZBC.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that was your first?
That was actually the first foray into writing professionally, I guess you would put it. Yeah. And after that, I then wrote a poetry book.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've written articles as well, and I've also been part of a short story anthology. Yeah, so
Yes, and now I agree with you introducing yourself as a writer.
yes.
Because who writes poetry, scripts, short stories?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And when did you start? When did you write the script?
The script, wow, actually the script was written a long time ago. But we got to shoot it must have been 2017, thereabout. And it eventually got aired on ZBC, I think sometime during the COVID era, 2020 or so. That's when the series was aired. It was called Three Strand Cord, and it was aired on ZBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I always ask people, how did it feel? Like, how did it feel seeing your work on the screen?
Surreal, like you don't think it's your work somehow. It just feels weird.
Okay.
I think most writers will tell you there are many times that I write things and I come back and I read them and I wonder who wrote that. I think there's some things I think I've written, but I'm not sure, because you scribble down things in different places. And worse now, at least if you've scribbled it down, you know it's your handwriting. But you can write something on computer. If it's typed out, when you see it, you don't know it's you're the one who wrote it. And I think I've got many things that I look at and
I
I'm
can
like,
relate to that.
I'm not too sure if I wrote this. Yeah, so it always feels surreal.
Okay. Oh my God. And then eventually you went on to publish your own book.
Yes, eventually I went on to publish this book called Love, Life and Light.
Okay.
Self-published, a poetry book.
It's an anthology.
Yes, it's a poetry anthology.
Okay.
It's actually 3 books in one, whereby there's the first book is about love, the second book is about life, and the third book is about light.
Oh, hence the title, Love,
Yes.
Light. Love, Life, Light.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
exactly.
Alright.
So this was a book that was born out of COVID era again, comes back. You know how we had literally, it was shut down, there was nothing much happening, and
We had a lot of time to be creative,
we
right?
had a lot of time to be creative, exactly, and that's how that came about. It
Blessing in disguise.
yeah, a women's group that had been formed called Women's Writers Support Network.
Okay.
And this lady, Sympathy Mangwenya, was just encouraging women to, she calls it bleed on paper.
I know the name.
Yes. She's actually the one who does this anthology of short stories for women. We're on season 4 right now.
Okay.
And I started writing. And then when we started writing, then she's like, ladies, what's stopping you from publishing? And then you kind of think, what is stopping me from publishing?
And
Nothing.
nothing.
exactly nothing. So eventually I realized, oh, I've got more than enough poems that I've written. If I put them together, I can come up with a book. And there we have it. I was quite shocked that I had so many poems. I think there are some that actually didn't even make it into this book. So yeah, that's just how that came about. Just
Wow. Wow.
yeah.
So you say the book is self-published.
Yes.
Does it mean you also did editing on your own, or did you have someone else?
Well, I did
look
get
into it?
somebody who edited the book for me, because you know how when you read something, there'll always be errors that you don't pick because you know what you have written.
And sometimes you pick errors that are not there, so
You see now.
sabotage.
Yes, exactly. So I thought, no, even if I'm going to publish it on my own, I still need a second pair of eyes that's going to look at it professionally. So I did actually get somebody who's a professional editor to look at it and edit it for me as well. And also got friends and my sister who did a great job as well. To just say, lots of people read it, see where the errors are, and help me to make sure it's a perfect manuscript.
Okay, this is quite interesting because my guest before you
Yeah.
is a publisher.
Yes.
So you being a self-published author, it then brings in the dynamics of this.
Yeah.
Did you have any challenges while doing this that you feel like maybe had you gone with a publisher, things were going to be a bit different? Or if even not challenges, is there anything that you feel like you did it different compared to how it was probably going to be done had you published with the publisher?
Yeah, probably there are lots of things that would have been different. I think when you self-publish, the marketing is very difficult. I think it's still a bit of a struggle. So this is me stepping out. I think coming out to this Intwasa book day was also part of me trying to get out there as an author to say, let me get my book out there. Let me get myself out there. Let me start marketing my brand and my book. And I mean, I've done it on social media, but I think I need to do it a lot more and be more consistent with it. Whereby
That's
I think
true.
if you have a publisher, they definitely have a plan that they're following.
And the network too.
Yes, and the network. So they can get your book out there faster. They can be putting you out, advertising you. Whereas when you're doing it by yourself, it's part-time. You know, I've got other work that I do. I'm not a full-time writer. I'm not full-time into this industry. So it's like when I get a moment, then I'll do this. When I get a moment, then I'll do that. So a lot of things fall behind. So really, it was, yeah, looking back, I think I would have preferred just to let the publisher do everything. Then you just know it's out there, it's going, it's being advertised, it's being distributed, and I think that would have been easier. So self-publishing is
but
not
then-
easy.
But then I'm pretty sure it might not have been easy, but there is something satisfying with it.
Yes.
Yes. So what really satisfied you in being able to work on your book from the beginning and see it through?
Wow, just the fact that there's actually a book that's sitting there on my name. I can never get over that. No, because when you set out in life, it's not like I ever sat there and thought, oh, I want to be an author. It's not something that was part of my ever that I dreamt that I would do. So it's like just seeing that, oh wow, there is a book and it is in my name. Because I think one of the things, I guess why my first foray was into screenwriting is because that I am interested in screenwriting. I mean, I'm looking at doing a feature-length film. I already have a script for that, and I've done quite a few other scripts as well. Some that have come out on, I forget what this platform is called, but I've done quite a few scripts. So this is really kind of stepping out of my comfort zone to do something different. So it's always like, wow, I actually did this, and there's a book that's got my name on it. So
I think you started off with the difficult part of creative writing.
Yeah.
I know, for most people, writing for screen is more difficult or complex compared to creative writing a novel or an anthology of poems. So I think you started off with the difficult part.
Okay.
And I really want to know, how has been your experience in that particular industry? As much as it's all writing,
Yes.
it's writing, but then it's different.
Yes.
Writing for screen and writing a book,
Yeah.
contributing to a short story anthology
Yes,
is different. How has
definitely.
been the experience on the screen part? Being the behind the scenes and seeing your work out there, people appreciating the actors and knowing that, you know what, I contributed or I am the one who really came up with that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. It's interesting that you're saying it's the more difficult thing.
Okay, for me. Okay, I don't mean for anyone. I'm just saying for me, I would view writing for screen.
Yeah, as being more difficult. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I've just always been a very imaginative person, and like we shared that sometimes when you write stuff, you feel you're not too sure you're the one who wrote it. But I remember even writing a story at some point in high school, which when I came across it a lot later and I read it, and even I was like, wow, this is so real. So it's like,
Okay.
so it's like, just maybe the way just my, sorry, excuse me, maybe just the way my brain functions. I mean, I feel those characters, I see those characters. To me, they are, whatever they are saying, it just comes out. I see it literally in my head. So I don't know. It's just a process maybe that happens naturally for me, having grown up loving watching TV, loving movies and things like that. So it's just maybe naturally flowed from there. And I really just visualize things, and it's, yeah, I think for me writing for the screen was easier than writing a short story.
Okay.
Actually, yeah. I don't know.
We're just gonna leave it there because personally,
Yeah.
I really feel like writing something that you're just gonna put in a book and writing something that is gonna be directed and
Yeah.
yeah. Then since you did your book on your own,
Yes.
are you now in terms of distribution? Are you working with any distributors or you're also self-distributing? How are you selling the books?
Yeah, I'm actually self-distributing as well, and like I'm saying, it's not an easy journey to walk, especially when you consider your time. Like this coming here, it's like you taking time off of other things you would be doing because you work and everything else. So this is like it almost becomes, I guess, it's a side hustle. So it's a side hustle that you look at. When I have the time, then I'll do this. When I have the time, then I'll do that. So it's not easy.
I guess you are one person who can really use the ecosystem that we were talking about inside there.
Definitely,
So
it
did you like
definitely is.
did you network and create that ecosystem and try to find
I'm actually going to do that after this.
Definitely.
I'm actually going to look up, I think there's a board that's got people's names and I'm going to take numbers, but I did see somebody who I thought, no, I'd love to get in touch with them to do more with my book. I think especially when they talked about the issue of trying to get it more on social media in different platforms, because people don't necessarily read the page as much as they used to. So it's something I would love to do. Definitely that ecosystem will come in handy. Yeah, it will be a good thing.
I think that would be great. And thank you so much for coming to the Intwasa Arts Festival, Bulawayo. And thank you so much for being a part of the book day, because this is a space where you really get, if you are in the book space, you actually came into the right space, especially
Definitely.
with you and your book
Yes.
and this new market that you're entering.
Yeah.
I really think you made a massive move.
Yes, definitely.
It might just be just going to Bulawayo. But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is, I hope and I pray that it's going to be life changing for you and your book.
Yes, I think I can already see that definitely it will be. I think having met so many different people in different spaces within the publishing industry, within the creative industry, definitely it's going to move me way further than it would have done if I just stayed at home. So it's good. It
Definitely.
was definitely a good idea for me to come here. I think I've loved being here. I've loved everything that we've learned through the interactions, and and it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me here. I think it's like you're
Thank
saying,
you
it's a
so
massive
much.
move that will massively move my book, I hope.
It's everything is massive, and
Yeah.
you know, in Bulawayo, a city of kings and queens.
Yeah.
So this is you queening now in the book industry.
And coming from the city of progress, so I progressed to come to Bulawayo,
Now
so
you're
I could
queening.
queen.
Oh my God! Thank you so much for coming.
No, thank
through.
you for having me.
You are still watching our Ingwalo Labalobi special episode here at Intwasa Arts Festival, Bulawayo. And right now I am joined by Sipho Mpofu. He is an author of a very nice looking book that I really believe that it's great insight. Mpofu, siyawamukela ku-podcast.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh.
Very happy to be here.
So, can you please introduce yourself to our audience? Who is Sipho Mpofu?
Okay. Well, Sipho Mpofu is a resident of Bulawayo. I've been involved in the arts sector on and off for a number of years. I used to write a lot of short stories that were published back then in the Sunday News, and a lot of feature articles as well.
Okay.
So I also collaborated with a number of writers in coming up with some works, some which were published, some which are still yet to be published. But I've been involved in arts for years now. I was born and bred in Bulawayo. I've worked most of my life in Bulawayo, but I did a stint outside in Matebele, specifically in Cholocho. I think that was for 2 years in 1988 to 1990. But basically, I would say I've lived all my life in Bulawayo.
Okay.
So that's me.
That's great. I'm just curious in knowing more about the novel. What's the title? My Affair with Misfortune.
Yes.
Yeah, that's. Can you unpack that? What is it all about?
This novel, just to give you a synopsis, it's about a young man who is a troubled child. He grows up in a home believing that he's living with his parents, but it so turns out that his mother is actually his stepmother.
Okay.
This comes out in a cruel and very tough way, where the stepmother actually refers to him as a son of a disreputable woman, and he could not understand it because it was a woman that he thought was his mother, referring to herself as a son of a disreputable woman, referring to him as a son as a disreputable woman, in effect referring to herself as a disreputable woman. So it confused him. So eventually the truth comes out that the lady is not his mother, but is his stepmother. So he makes a decision. He's still at school, makes a decision that when I finish school, he's going to leave home and find his own way in the world. So after school, he struggles to get a job, finally lands an appointment as a temporary teacher, so he goes to teach in Cholocho. This is in the beginning of the year 1983. He gets there, starts to ingratiate himself into the society, and then the whole issue of the political or the military disturbances take effect. So it's a story about how he is moving from one misfortune to another. He struggles, although he does find some respite in finding love in the arms of a young lady in Cholocho. His life is not so easy, so he ends up running away from Cholocho and makes his way into Botswana, into the Dukwe refugee camp. So the book actually chronicles his life while he was in Cholocho.
I am feeling the pain already that is inside this book before even reading it. Oh my God.
Yes, there is
a lot of issues that are unfortunate that do happen there. By the way, this is a work of fiction.
Yeah, I understand.
Yes, but it actually mirrors the realities that actually took place during that time in that part of the country.
Okay.
Yes.
That is very interesting. And then I noticed that you have this book
Yes.
on your table.
Correct.
Is it your first novel?
It's the first novel that I've published, yes.
Or it's the first that you have published,
Correct,
meaning that you have a pile of
I do have
unpublished.
quite a few, and I have plans to make sure that I publish all of them before I pass from this world. We should be seeing one or two in 2026.
That's great. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Okay, then I want to find out, how are you finding the market so far?
Look, we no longer have a reading culture in this country.
Everyone is saying that.
It's a big hindrance, and this is why you find that most of the authors that have come before us have gone by the wayside. If you do not break into the regional international community, it is very difficult to keep on writing. I self-published this book because most of the traditional publishers are not looking to publish fictional works. So I had to fund everything. It's not everyone who can do that. And obviously, you cannot keep on doing that if you do not get returns. It costs quite a lot of money to put these things together and get them into finished form. And then there is a big difficulty in getting these books into bookshops for them to sell them for you.
Yeah, I heard.
Yes, just a few. You have 2 or 3 places in Bulawayo that will accept them. They will sell those for you on commission, which is okay, which is what we are looking at. But it's not what it used to be in the late 80s or early 90s, where books will go out and people will sell huge numbers of copies in a such. It's not happening anymore in Zimbabwe. So I think maybe what we need to do as the literary communities to try to reach out, especially to the younger generation, and reignite that passion or desire for reading. I know it's a big ask when you are competing with social media and all things, the digital things that are available at the moment. But if you compare what is happening in Zimbabwe to what is happening in South Africa, for instance, in the UK or in the Western Hemisphere, they have the latest technology, but they still read. They still go out and buy books and they still read. And this is something that
Books
I think
still have value.
they still have value. Yes. And I'll tell you for certain that most of the people that write grow up within a reading culture. So it's something that needs to be reignited. Hopefully, we have a drive to get young people, back into the libraries, looking for books, and just like we did when we were growing up. But look, that is not to say that we will not persevere. We will, but it's a big challenge.
It's going to be a long journey.
It's going to be a long journey. That's for certain. It's not going to be easy, and most of us are going to write these books and make losses. But we love writing. We'll continue to write and put them out.
Okay, that's interesting and very positive. And thank you so much for taking time to join us on this podcast. We are looking forward to seeing more of your work, and we wish you well on this journey that you have taken.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's episode that we are bringing you from the Intwasa Arts Festival of Bulawayo, where we were having a book day. It was a day filled with a lot of activities, a lot of events centered around books, a lot of authors and industry players in the book space. It's unfortunate that we are not able to bring in everyone here, but if you were not part of this edition, please make sure to join us next year as Intwasa Arts Festival will be back, and this podcast is proudly brought to you by Depth3 Events, your partner in sound system, lighting, studio recordings, and photo shoots, among other services. You can get in touch with us on the contacts appearing on your screen. From me, Angela Swanda, I'll see you on our next episode. Bye bye.